In 1853, an angry chef sliced potatoes paper-thin just to annoy a customer. He fried them until they were hard, salty, and almost impossible to eat. He expected the customer to send them back. Instead, the customer loved them. That petty kitchen moment accidentally created potato chips. And it turns out, that's not the only famous food born from a mistake. From cookies, to nachos, to champagne, some of the world's most popular foods exist today because something went wrong. Today, we're looking at 10 famous foods that were invented completely by accident. And later in this video you'll see the food that was invented because a vendor ran out of dishes at a world fair, and the drink that winemakers once thought was a huge mistake. Let's start with the snack that began with pure frustration. Number 1. Potato chips. Back in the 1800s, a chef named George Crumb worked at a restaurant in Saratoga Springs, New York. One night, a customer kept sending back his fried potatoes. Too thick, too soggy, not crispy enough. After the third complaint, Crumb lost his patience. So, he sliced the potatoes as thin as possible, fried them until they were extremely crisp, and covered them in salt. It was meant to be sarcastic, but the customer loved them. Soon, everyone at the restaurant started ordering the same thing. Those crispy slices became known as Saratoga chips, and eventually, potato chips spread across the entire world. But the next accident happened in a bakery, and it created one of the most loved desserts ever. Number 2. Chocolate chip cookies. In the 1930s, Ruth Wakefield owned the Toll House Inn in Massachusetts. Her cookies were already popular with guests. One day while baking, she realized she had run out of baker's chocolate. So she improvised. She chopped up a Nestle chocolate bar and mixed the chunks into the dough, expecting them to melt evenly. But they didn't. Instead, the chocolate pieces stayed intact, creating soft cookies with little pockets of melted chocolate. Guests went crazy for them. The recipe spread across the country, and Nestlé even made a deal with Ruth to print the recipe on chocolate bar packaging. But the next accidental invention came from someone who wasn't even a chef. Number 3. Popsicles. In 1905, an 11-year-old boy named Frank Epperson was making a powdered soda drink. He mixed water and soda powder in a cup, and left the stirring stick inside. Then he accidentally left the cup outside overnight. Temperatures dropped below freezing. The next morning, Frank discovered something surprising. The drink had frozen solid, with the stick trapped inside. He pulled it out and started licking it like a frozen treat. Years later, he patented the invention and called it the popsicle. A simple childhood accident had turned into one of the most popular summer treats ever. Number 4. Cornflakes. So, back in the late 1800s, Dr. John Harvey Kellogg and his brother Will Kellogg were experimenting with grain-based foods at a health retreat in Michigan. One day, they accidentally left cooked wheat sitting out longer than they planned. When they tried rolling it out, the wheat just broke into thin flakes instead of forming dough. Instead of tossing it, they decided to toast the flakes. They turned out light, crunchy, and honestly, surprisingly tasty. Later on, they tried the same process using corn. And that experiment, well, it became cornflakes. Today, cereal is just a breakfast routine for millions of people. Number 5. The sandwich. In the 1700s, there was this English nobleman named John Montagu, also known as the Earl of Sandwich, who was deep into a long gambling session. He really didn't want to leave the table to eat, so he asked a servant for a simple solution: place meat between 2 slices of bread. That way, he could eat with one hand and keep playing cards with the other. Other gamblers noticed, and soon they started ordering the same as sandwich, and just like that, the sandwich got its name. Number 6. Worcestershire sauce. In the early 1800s, 2 English chemists, John Ley and William Perrins, were asked to recreate a sauce from India. They tried mixing ingredients together to copy the flavor, but the result was just terrible. It tasted so bad, they stored the batch in their cellar and kind of forgot about it. Months later, they rediscovered the barrel. Before tossing it out, they decided to taste it again. Something incredible had happened. The sauce had aged, fermented, and completely transformed. The harsh flavor was gone, and in its place was this rich, savory sauce with deep complexity. Today, Worcestershire sauce is used in everything from marinades to cocktails. Number 7. Ice cream cones. So back in 1904 at the St. Louis World's Fair, an ice cream vendor ran into a pretty big problem. He ran out of bowls, but people were still lining up for ice cream. Right next to him, there was a waffle vendor selling these thin pastry waffles. So, they decided to try something new. They rolled the waffles into cones and scooped ice cream inside. The portable treat was an instant hit. Visitors loved being able to walk around with ice cream they could actually hold. And just like that, the ice cream cone quickly became the new standard. Number 8. Tarte Tatin. In the late 1800s, the Tatin sisters ran a small hotel in France. One day, while making an apple tart, one sister accidentally cooked the apples in butter and sugar for too long. They began to caramelize quickly. Realizing she might ruin the dish, she tried a last-minute solution. She placed the pastry dough on top of the apples and baked it anyway. After baking, she flipped the tart upside down before serving. The caramelized apples sat perfectly on top. The dessert looked beautiful. And it tasted even better. Today, Tarte Tatin is one of the most famous desserts in French cuisine. Number 9. Nachos. In 1943 in Mexico, a restaurant worker named Ignacio Nacho Anaya faced a problem. A group of customers arrived after the kitchen had already closed. There wasn't much food left, so Nacho improvised. He cut tortillas into triangles, fried them, added melted cheese, and topped them with sliced jalapenos. The guests loved it. They asked what the dish was called. Nacho simply said, "Nacho Special," and that late-night improvisation became the dish we now call nachos. Number 10. Champagne. Early winemakers in France's Champagne region had a frustrating problem. During cold winters, fermentation would stop. Then in spring it would restart inside sealed bottles. This produced carbon dioxide, which created bubbles. At the time, winemakers thought this was a flaw. Some bottles even exploded from the pressure. But eventually, people realized something important. The sparkling wine tasted incredible. What was once considered a mistake became one of the most celebrated drinks in the world, champagne. And it proves something fascinating. Some of the best inventions in history weren't planned. They were accidents, unexpected moments in kitchens, bakeries, restaurants, and even cellars. So the next time something goes wrong while cooking, you might not have made a mistake. You might have just invented the next famous food.